Hi, I'm Heather Holmes, CEO and founder of TapGenes. I'm really excited that you're here today for the first of our series on how to get started with TapGenes and the importance of family health history. In today's session, our first session, you'll learn more about why family health history is so important and what are the first steps that you can take to start capturing and preserving your family's health history within TapGenes. So to get started, I'd like to share with you our mission. And our mission is to help families understand their shared health risks and how they can plan today to protect tomorrow by using this information. Because really the key to staying healthy lies deep in your roots. And that means understanding your health patterns in your family and using that information so that you can get to the right preventative screenings and to make the early decisions about your health and well-being. And I'd love to share with you this story. This is a typical family portrait together, but the reason why I'm sharing this with you is to help you understand why family health history matters. So up in the top right corner, you see a little blonde girl. That little blonde girl is actually Angelina Jolie when she was a toddler. And I'm sure that you're familiar with Angelina's story of how she found out that she carried the BRCA gene and then how she decided to go ahead and have a double mastectomy, and then later have her ovaries removed. Even though she didn't have cancer, she carried the gene, but she decided to go do that to what she believed to help lower her risk. But what most people don't realize was it wasn't that she just got a genetic test that told her that she carried the gene. She had some other important information, and that information was that she knew that almost every other one of her adult blood relatives, many of whom you see in this photograph, that they had died from cancer, and they had died from cancers that were interconnected. And it wasn't just that they had died from cancer, many of them died at a young age. So Angelina knew that not only she carried the same gene that had affected some of her other loved ones, but that she knew that this cancer was very aggressive in her family, and that it often would take people at a young age. So the combination of information helped her be able to decide that she wanted to take a more aggressive approach. And that's really what we are trying to help you do, is have the right information available so that if you need to make decisions, you have that information on hand for all of your loved ones. And that's because if you don't have this information, you are losing precious time. And we don't want anybody to be in that situation. Here are three of the common cancers in the U.S.: lung cancer, colon cancer, and cervical cancer. And the difference between getting diagnosed early and getting diagnosed late and your outcome, your survival rate is incredibly dramatic. I mean, in early stage diagnosis here, you see the success rate is incredibly high versus that late stage diagnosis. So if you already have the clues in your family, why wouldn't you want to use that or share that with your loved ones to help protect them? That's what we're trying to do, and that's what we're trying to do to help you be able to help your loved ones. So people often ask, well, isn't this in my medical records? And unfortunately, the answer is probably not. So while family health history is considered one of the strongest predictors of disease risk and considered the original genetic test, this information is missing from 96% of medical records. So if you think about it, every time you go to the doctor, you're asked to fill out those forms that asks you about who had a different condition in the family. And most of us, as we're filling that out, if we're being honest, we probably don't really know. We probably don't really know all that information. And so if you don't know, or if you're not sure, how is your doctor supposed to know to get you that right screening? And as far as it being missing from within the medical records, also that's a problem with how medical records capture this information and how it's stored. And obviously your medical record isn't connected with your loved ones, so that information is just a big void. And so what we want to do is give you those tools so you have this information so that you can have those conversations with your doctor. And the reason why is family health history is looking at a few different things. So we all know that genetics and your genes are very important, and that gets passed through your family. And while you are not able to modify those genes, you are able to influence whether or not those genes are turning on or off for many conditions. And the reason why, and as I'll explain here, is that there's more going into your health than just your genes. Families share behaviors, families share environment, and those are the triggers that can help your genes turn on or off. So basically, what family health history is looking at is that we know that you share genes with your family members, and since you always also share similar behaviors and environment, this is an opportunity to see how those shared things are being triggered in other family members. So really, it's looking at those three things, and that's what family health history is. And then by understanding those things, it's also an opportunity for making changes. And so what TapGenes is trying to do is help you, like we like to say, understand that common thread that ties your family together from one generation to the next and bring this whole picture together into light. And we do that by helping families crowdsource their health history, help them understand risks, and to take action so that they can live longer and healthier together. And when I say crowdsourcing, what I mean by that is that TapGenes is designed so that you are starting with TapGenes today, but that you're able to share TapGenes with your other family members, and everyone's able to contribute a little bit about what they know. And for those who know more about other family members or maybe grandparents or great grandparents who are no longer here, they're able to really kind of put more color around your family's story that way. So everybody's able to contribute, and that's what crowdsourcing means. So how to get started, how to start collecting your family health history. Well, TapGenes is designed to take you through a guided tour and ask you about some of those most common health conditions to get started, and you can go through that guided process to get started. But people often say, well, I want to be able to get more information, or maybe I don't know all the information. And the best place to start is to talk to your family. This is the number way to collect this information, and there's so many opportunities to do this, whether it's at the holidays or during reunions, from weddings and catching up there, or if someone in the family is thinking of starting their own family with having a new baby, or other family gatherings. There's many opportunities to get updates on people and be able to then update that within TapGenes. So just use all those opportunities when people are together to talk to them about this and update your TapGenes family health tree. To get started, as I said, you can go directly into TapGenes and take our guided tour. We'll ask you a series of questions about the most common health conditions in your family. And then you can always go back in and update that later or retake that onboarding and then add more conditions from there. But some people want to be able to have a paper-based way to also remember when they're asking family members about their health what to do. So we've created a paper-based form that you can really easily check off things for each person, and then when you go into TapGenes, add that information that way, or use a journal or whatever your favorite way. It doesn't matter how you start, just as long as you get started, and to be able to go from there. We'll be showing you a demo at the end of this presentation about how you get started within TapGenes adding this information. And as we say, this is something that is an ongoing process that you're going to be able to continue to do over time. For starters, we recommend that you start by adding information and capturing information for yourself and your parents and siblings and children, and then grandparents, half-siblings, aunts, uncles, grandchildren, all of that. First and second degree relatives is what we encourage you to start with. And you could pick a few people and then add more people over time. But, that's really a good starting point. You, within TapGenes, are able to go as far wide or as many generations back as you would choose. But for getting started, we really encourage you to add those initial family relationships. So the type of information that is important for getting started are things like your names, people's names, their date of birth, any health problems, and at the age when they were diagnosed with that health condition, if that's known, because that really makes a difference in when people should be getting screened. So, for some conditions, that's a really critical piece of information to have. age and cause of death, any kind of relevant lifestyle habits, ethnicity, things like that. And then, of course, pictures, because within TapGenes you can add a picture for each family member so that you can really have a very beautiful family tree to look at. So these are some of the initial information that we recommend you capture that are part of our, part of that checklist that you'll be receiving at the end of this class. And then if you really want to get creative, or if you have family members who are maybe passed away and you don't have a lot of information, this is where it can get fun, really fun, where you can go and start searching for clues. So there's tons of clues about your family's health that you can find in genealogical records, from death and birth certificates, funeral home records, obituaries, the U.S. Census. You'd be amazed at all the places that you can find little bits of clues of information about your family's health, and then to be able to capture it and save it in TapGenes. Another thing that's not too far out in the distance is also a loved one's hospital or insurance forms. And so if they've passed away, it's really important, and I really want you to understand this, is that hospitals do not have to hold those medical records for life. There is, depending on the state, they are required to keep it for only a certain amount of years. So the clock is ticking after someone passes away before they will destroy all those records, and all that information will be lost. So if you have a loved one who has passed away recently, I strongly encourage you to go out there and request those records so your family has them in case there's information in there that is needed for another loved one. And within the handouts we'll be sharing with you, we have information so you can see how long your state is required to keep records and what to do to request those records. And so as you're going through, and if you're digging around in genealogical records, what you'll find is often there's a lot of old medical terms that you're not going to know what that means. And so the terminology often has changed and updated, but there are resources there outside that can help you decipher what that means. So we have included a list of links here below that's also in the handout that you'll be receiving, where you can go and decipher what those names mean. And if you're really stumped, you can reach out to us and ask, and we can try and help you as well. So just be aware that, if you might see some funny things you've never heard of before, and that there are resources out there that can help you. So when we're talking about health, sometimes people wonder, why should I be talking about this with my family? Like, maybe it will be a little uncomfortable. But I wanted to show you some research really quickly that just talks about and shows that this is something that's top of mind for everyone. And, people are often very concerned about, what does this mean to my family? What does this mean to our own financial security if somebody developed a serious health condition? So by opening this door and starting the conversation, you're really helping your family put people's minds at ease, and helping everybody be able to start understanding, what are the risks and what can we do so that we can try and minimize any concerns about a serious health condition. And so TapGenes will really help you in capturing and talking about family health history, will really help you, the family together, understand those health concerns, and really help family members get to that early detection or preventative screenings once you start to understand these patterns within the family, and to be able to make more informed decisions, all of which can help really protect your family's health for a longer time, and be able to kind of help you plan better from a financial perspective. So to get the conversation started, we have a series of questions here. Don't worry, you don't need to write all these down right now. We have them included in our handouts for you at the end. But just wanted to give you some ideas on what you can do to sort of start the conversation with loved ones. And along with that is to remember the FACE technique. And the FACE technique is, we go into more details on our website, but really it's about how to best approach a family member and start these conversations. And so letting them know that this is really important, how to frame conversations, how to, really capture that information, and then how to help the family expand it from there. So for more information about the FACE technique, we will, like I said, include that in the handouts you'll see at the end of this. So now that you've started, and now that you've started capturing and gathering this information, you can organize and securely store it within TapGenes, and then you're able to share that with your family members so everybody can have access to the information if you choose. You don't have to choose to share it with your family members, but we really believe and encourage you to do that because this is information that could help save another person in your family's life. Within TapGenes, you're also able to share this information with your doctors. We have a printable report that gives them the most important information. You're also able to give them access online to TapGenes, but we would encourage you to use the printable report just because it's easier for you to be able to sit down and have that conversation with them right there when you're giving them a more simplified report there for them to discuss with you. And then this is something that's really important as a grandparent or a parent that you can do to pass on to your children so that they have the information, they aren't having to search for clues, and that they can really know what to look out for within their own health and their loved ones. And then also remember that this is something that changes constantly. Health changes for all of us, so keep it updated. So whether that's remembering that you want to do your updates quarterly or annually on your birthday, but these are things that you want to be able to keep updating and as you have different events with family members to update over time. Remember, this is not something you just do all in one setting. This is something that you build on. Now, when it comes to doctors, when you take them that printable report or talking, what this is going to do is allow them to help determine your risk for certain diseases. What we do is help them understand and help you understand which conditions are which conditions you might be at higher risk because we've seen the pattern within your family. And then from there, your doctor can talk with you about recommended screening tests or recommended lifestyle changes based on those risks. And together you guys can make treatment decisions, whether that's about medications or about how aggressive you want to be with the treatment based on what you now know from your family. So it really helps you have that full empowering conversation with your doctor. I'm now going to hand this webinar over to my teammate Diana Massey, and she's going to show you how to get started with TapGenes and give you a demo of what to expect when you first are going into the platform, the steps to take, and to get you going from there. So here you go, Diana.
My name is Diana, and I'm going to be showing you today how to set up your TapGenes account. I'm also going to show you a little bit more about your genetic age, the health recommendations, and how to add some of the more non-traditional relationships to your family health tree. So for a new account, you're going to go ahead and start by clicking Join. That'll open a new pop-up box where you can enter in your email address. For today's demo, I'm going to enter in a new address that I've created. Go ahead and agree to the terms of service and click sign up. So once you create your new account, you'll automatically be taken to the first screen of our onboarding. So let's go through the onboarding. Go ahead and start by clicking Let's Get Started. And the first option that you'll see here is how do you want to start building your family health tree? Now, we have three options. You can connect with Facebook. If you have a family search account, you can connect with your family search. Or the third option is to do it manually. If you do it manually, you don't have to connect to any other third-party service. But I do want to let you know that you can start with any one of these and then go back and do any other one. So you could do all three or just pick one. It's really up to you, but you're not limited to just one if you select one in the beginning. For today's demo, I'm going to go ahead and connect with my family search account. And it's going to open a new box, as you see, to log into your family search. There we go. I just logged in with my name and password. And what it's doing right now is it's actually importing my family health tree from Family Search. And if you are one of those folks that have a really large family health tree, it's not going to pull in all the generations. It's only going to go back 5 generations. So it's not going to take too long, even if you have a really large tree, but it will pull in several generations. So once it has imported that information, it's going to go ahead and auto-populate these fields as we go through the onboarding, which is kind of nice. So the first one here, we start easy, just what is your name? But I do want to point out that we don't validate your name against anything. So feel free to use a nickname or initials or just whatever you feel comfortable with. We like to say that this is as anonymous as you want it to be. So we know not everyone feels comfortable putting in a lot of detail around their healthcare and their family right away. So feel free to, just use a nickname or initials or whatever. So the next screen, it has me as female, so I can keep going there. It's imported my date of birth, and this is my mom's name. It imports your father's name. Hopefully you're seeing the little purple text we have here. We try to keep it fun, so as you go through, it's have a little levity to it. It has my sibling here. I have one brother. If you do have more than one sibling that you want to add, if you want to add manually, you just click that add button there. And then we have sort of fun little statistics throughout the onboarding that you can take a look at or just keep going. But this is just how many children per family average over the years. That's kind of interesting to see how that's changed. And then it has relationship status. So for today's demo, I'm going to go ahead and select that I am married. So another fun statistic. Currently he's my fiance, but we'll pretend we're married for this exercise. And again, I'm going to go ahead and add some children. So I'm going to add a couple children. So let's go ahead and add a son. And then I'm going to say I also have a daughter. Let's give her a different last name, and I'll show you why. So this is interesting how your family size average changes by state. I'm in North Carolina, so I'm right on with that average. So now you'll see the reason I added 2 children with different last names. I just wanted to point out that, there's all types of families, blended families, different relationships. So for this demo, I'm going to say that my husband, David, is the father of my son, John, but that I had a daughter by someone else. So I have 2 options here. I can say other, and then this will let me put in the name of Jennifer's father. Or I could choose to not include the father in the tree at all. And of course, that's your choice. You pick which one fits your family situation best. So I'm going to go ahead and, you know what? I had a relationship with Brad Pitt, and unfortunately, it just did not work out. And we'll keep going. All right, so now we're going to ask about grandparents. So now this is your mother's mother, your mother's father, and then your father's mother, and father's father. And now we have kind of an interesting little chart here about the name popularity over time. So you can see sort of what's still popular, where some of these names peaked. It's kind of interesting to see. Okay, so that is how we built the tree. These are obviously, we just focused on the close family relationships right now. I will show you later how to add some more. But for now, we're going to move on to the health questions. So for onboarding, we just focus on the 7 most common chronic conditions, and we ask who in your family has been diagnosed with these conditions. You'll have the opportunity to add many more conditions that you're not seeing here to the family members later, but just for onboarding, we just want to get people started. So has anyone in your family been diagnosed with heart disease? So I'm going to go ahead and select my father, my uncle, and my grandfather. Just runs on that side of the family. Keep going. And then anyone diagnosed with cancer. So I am going to say, yep, I've had a couple cancer diagnoses in the family. So cancer is the one condition that we go into a little bit more detail. So for anyone that you say have cancer, you have the opportunity to select a specific type of cancer. If you don't see it on here, you can add it to this box. And then for Kathy, breast cancer. If you don't know the specific type, you can always choose unknown. And then, all right, type 2 diabetes. Let's give it to a couple people there. High blood pressure. So this is one I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it runs in my family or not. I don't have that information in front of me right now, but I don't want to stop onboarding. So I'm just going to leave it selected as not sure and or none because I know I can always double check this and come back and add it at any time. So I'm just going to keep going. High cholesterol. Nope, I don't think that runs in the family. Let me keep going here. And asthma. Nope, no one that I know of. Stroke. That grandfather. All right, so that's uplifting. Stroke is down. Okay, so that's actually the end of onboarding. So it wasn't too long. At the end of onboarding, you have the choice of either going and immediately viewing your family health tree, which I'll take you to in just a second. But first, I'm going to share with you your genetic age. I'll preface this by saying that genetic age is kind of a for fun score that TapGenes came up with. It's a proprietary little score that we came up with. It's definitely just for fun, so don't. It's not a diagnosis. It's not. Always still work with your medical professional. But basically, what it's doing is it's comparing your family health history. So who you just said in your family has different conditions, and statistically comparing it to other people in your age, and it'll tell you if you're higher or lower than other people of your age. So I just happen to get the exact same age, so I guess I'm right on statistically with who in my family has had what conditions. I do encourage you, if you want to learn more, to click on this link. What does this mean? And it will open up a second tab and it will give you more information. So please do open this, read it, understand how we're calculating it. And it is also not based on your current lifestyle choices or your environment or anything like that. It's only looking at your family health history. So even if diabetes runs in your family, but you've made a point to be very active and have a great diet, it may not be the same risk for you as the other family members. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down. After you look at your genetic age, you can keep scrolling and you have the opportunity to share your genetic age, which we'll talk about a lot more in a future webinar about sharing with your family, which we definitely encourage you to do. But basically, you can invite your family members to come in and see the information that you've put in, see the tree. They can actually share and collaborate, add more information to it. And that's kind of the fun part of doing this together as a family. If you keep scrolling down, you'll see additional health recommendations. And you may be thinking, oh, that's weird. I only see heart disease here, but I know you added several more conditions during onboarding. That's because the health recommendations only take into account the first degree relatives for some diseases. It varies by disease, and some diseases, if you have a first degree relative with that disease, it has much more of an impact on your risk factors. Some other diseases, second or third degree relatives may also factor in there. But for the answers I put in, the heart disease is the main one that we're looking at and provide health recommendations for. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to view my family health tree that I just built as part of that onboarding tool. All right, there everyone is. So I didn't have pictures loaded into my family search account. If you do, they will be pulled in. And in a later webinar, we are going to show you how to customize your account and make it beautiful by adding everyone's smiling face to their picture or choosing one of our custom avatars, which can also be kind of fun. But you will see that these different colored health icons are showing up based on what I put into that onboarding. And if you hover over, you'll be able to see what the icons stand for. And you can start to see a pattern. You can start to see the red icons are all cardiovascular related. So I'm seeing heart disease, stroke, heart disease, all on one side of the family. I'm seeing cancer on the other side of the family. And patterns will start to emerge for you. One quick thing, if you finish onboarding and you want to go back into it, you can at any time. It's this icon right up here. You click that and it reopens the question widget, the onboarding question widget from the beginning, so you can go through. I'm going to go ahead and close mine for now and go back to my family health tree. All right. So now I want to show you a little bit more about how to add more family members outside of the ones we ask you about in onboarding. So the first thing I'm going to show you is for every one of these people on the tree, they have their own what we call personal health profile. So if you click on their picture, their hexagon, it'll open this sidebar menu. And this is where you can begin to start adding some really great, more detailed information and really make this come alive. So for example, I didn't add any health conditions for myself during onboarding. I didn't have any of those 7 we asked about, but I am going to go ahead and add one now. So if you start typing, the menu will pull it up. So I'm going to add celiac disease, and now I have the opportunity to add more information about when I was diagnosed. It's okay if you don't have the exact date. You can certainly just add the year if you want. And if you have a doctor that you're specifically working with, you can add them from here, put their name under new doctor. If you had a medication that you were taking for it, you can add that here. And I'll go into a lot more detail about where to add new doctors and medications and other health information in a future webinar. So for today, I'm just going to go ahead and save this as is. Great. And now you can see a new icon shows up under my profile with the new health condition that I just added for myself. So now I'm going to show you a little bit more about additional family relationships that you can add outside the traditional first-degree relatives that we've already been through. So to add a new relative, you go up to the top of your profile where it's a little person with a plus sign, this second circle here, it says add family member, and go ahead and click that. So from this drop down, you can select the relationship you want to add. So let's say there's another sister that I didn't add in onboarding. Now I can go ahead and add, call her Erin Massey. And if you have their birth date, great. If not, it's okay also. And let's say, maybe she was adopted, and I can select that from this box here and say that they were adopted, and go ahead and save and add that new family member. And I do want to just take a minute to talk about adopted. We get a lot of questions about that. And, people say, I'm adopted and I don't know my birth parents. Can I still use TapGenes? Is there any use for that? And we say, absolutely. Family health history is more than just your genetics. That's one piece of it, but it's also your shared environment and your shared behaviors, your diet. All that kind of stuff goes in together to create your health risks. So even if you don't share genetics, you could share other things with your family that'll still impact your health risks. Also, they're still your family, and part of being on this platform together is that you can share health information. So even if your genetic risks aren't the same, you may be caring for a loved one who has all of their health information input into TapGenes, and they want to share it with you so that you have easy access if you're caring for maybe an elderly relative or another dependent. So they're still your family, still absolutely add them. And in the future, we're going to be rolling out a feature where if you do know your birth parents, you can add a second tree. So you have sort of your biological family tree, and then a second tree that is your adopted family tree. So you can keep them separate, but still have them both there. All right. Another thing I wanted to point out is when during onboarding, I added that I had a child with ex-spouse. So you see here, Brad Pitt. And you'll see that there is a line there that doesn't quite connect me because we don't connect anymore with that X there. So that's how we denote an ex-spouse on the tree. All right. Now I'm going to show you another family relationship. So let's add another sister, but this time I'm going to make her half sister. All right. Karen Massey. And now we ask, who is the half parent? So which is the parent we share in common? I'm going to go and say it was my dad, not adopted. Save and add someone new. Okay, so now you see my half sister Karen over here, kind of seemingly floating by herself in the tree. But I'm going to show you how to recenter on a different family member, and you'll get a new view. And recentering is important for a couple reasons. So right now it's centered on me, so it shows all the relationships stemming out from me, basically. But I'm going to recenter on my dad, and I do that by clicking on his profile and then clicking on this first circle right here. Okay, so now you see the tree has changed. So it has him at the center of the tree. So it's showing, his siblings, his spouse, parents. It's not showing my mother's side of the family anymore because it's not centered on me. So that's not relative to him. But now it is showing Karen as his daughter with a different line going up to him. That is not the same line as it going up to both my mom and my dad. Recentering the tree is also useful if you want to add relatives that go out further, such as your aunts and uncles and cousins. So if I want to add an aunt, you probably noticed from the drop down for myself, there was no option for aunt or uncle. But what I can do is give my dad another sister. So that would be my aunt. So I would, same way I did for me, now that I'm in my dad's profile, I click on adding a family member, and I'll add a sister for him, and go with Kim Massey, and add a birth date if you have it. All right, so now we have a new sister there, and if I do go back and center on myself by clicking this button, now she shows up there. So now I have my aunt. So those are the main relationships that I wanted to show. TapGenes is very flexible in that you can continue to go out as far as you want. You can add cousins. I could go up to one of my aunts and add a son or daughter. I can continue adding multiple generations back. I could recenter on my grandfather and add his father and grandfather, and keep recentering and seeing more generations. Also, if there is a divorce or separation, the way that you would show that is you click on the line between the couple. And this actually gives you the option to say that you're divorced or separated. You just click that, and now you have the same broken line, that I showed you before between the couple. Okay, so that is the gist of getting started with TapGenes, and now I've showed you how to add different family relationships. In future webinars, we are going to show you much more information about how to really make your TapGenes profile yours by, adding a picture, adding more information, life events, health information, all the good stuff. Get a little bit more into health assessments. So I hope you join us for future webinars. In the meantime, as you're getting started with your account, don't forget that we do have some handy tips over here that you can always launch by clicking this, and it'll bring those up. And we are always just a chat away. So if you ever need anything, you click on this question mark and it'll bring up some frequently asked questions that they may answer your needs. And if not, you can always just click in the chat box and start chatting with us. And one of our team members will hopefully be able to answer your question. All right, I'm going to hand it back to Heather.